really cold show too, because we filmed it in the winter, so just cold all around now.
Well, thank you guys again for joining us today. And happy early holidays, by the way.
Yeah.
So I'd like to kick this off. I've got questions for each of you, and I've got questions for all of you. But we'll start off with each of you. Simu, you're not only starring in the Copenhagen Test, you're also executive producer. Can you just take us back to the beginning of the project for you? How did you get involved with the Copenhagen Test? And what about the show made you go, like, I really need to be part of this?
Yeah, I mean, it's believe it or not, it started a really long time. It was 2020. I was in Sydney shooting this little tiny Marvel movie. It was like an indie, but no one had seen it yet. We were shut down because of COVID, because that was the whole thing that happened. And I did a call with, I think, James Wan and Thomas Brandon, who wrote our pilot and was one of our co-showrunners. And is he here today? Right now? No, never mind. So it was James and Thomas who initially pitched me this project, and I was kind of really hooked by the sci-fi premise of it. There was a lot about that, that cyberpunk surveillance kind of world of intrigue. I think that really appealed to me. But then James, told me just how much it meant to him for this character to be Asian American. And I think that's what really kind of sold it for me. And I hope that you saw in the pilot episode, Alexander's cultural background is very important and informs a lot of his decisions that he's made, and his family's as well. And I just thought, like, what a cool layer of dimensionality for somebody who is tasked to protect America's secrets, right? Because anytime you see a spy, especially an American spy, I think they tend to look a certain way. And so, I just love the fact that I get to play Alexander Hale, and yeah, James really sold me on it.
Yeah, thank you so much. And being Michelle really appealed to you?
I always wanted to be a spy. A real spy. Like, guys, I emailed the CIA when I was 13. Or at least I thought I
What
did.
email address did you
I
use?
think it was CIA.com. I don't know. I would say it was very serious for me. I was obsessed with Alias, 24, and I just thought, what a cool life. I want that life. I later realized that what I actually wanted to be was an actor. And then to play a spy. So I always kind of wanted to do a show like this. I always wanted to be a spy, and I love the genre. I didn't realize it until I moved to LA in 2017 that most spies that I had seen are white, and that it was going to be maybe harder for me to find a role like that. So I was super grateful when this came along, and I was very excited to work with Simu. And did I answer your question, or am I rambling? I don't even know. Yeah.
Anything about
Yeah.
Michelle? She's a very complex
Oh yeah,
character.
she is very complex. You have a lot of questions, and so did I. Yeah, it was a challenge because I didn't have a lot of information about her, and I also didn't have all of the scripts when we were shooting. They kind of kept coming to us as the shoot went on, so I was just kind of trying to fill in the blanks, and then throwing that away when I got new information. And I was just trying to, how when you're trying to, as an actor, you're trying to like sell something, you're trying to portray something. And so that's the mindset that I was in when I was playing Michelle, was what is she trying to sell in this scene? What version of her, what level of warmth is she channeling? Because there's like layers of her that she's, pretending to be. There's like a performance within a performance within a performance.
Meta.
Yeah, it was a challenge. It kept me on my toes for sure.
Thank you so much.
I think that Parker's observational talents definitely surpass the average person's. And
Did you say observational?
I think I did, and I was that was very observational of you, seeing me think that. It's really hoping that would just go under the radar, but I did. She's very observational, strong core.
Strong core,
Yeah.
lots of sit-ups.
Super bendy. And the question.
Playing the studio.
Oh yeah. What was it like playing somebody like that? It was really interesting because I think as an actor, in acting school classes, everybody's always telling you that your answer is in your scene partner, and that you are looking to the other person that you are working with to find the motivation, why you're doing what you're doing, what you're trying to get out of somebody. And so when you're playing a character who's actively doing that in another character, it does become kind of meta and fun. You have to get very curious about who you are, but you also get to lean on the idea of who I am is getting curious about who this person is. And it felt good and right, and finally something clicked in my head about what my freshman school acting teacher was talking about.
Well, the first thing is to have been asked to join the astonishing cohort of women, I guess a polite way to say it is of a certain age, who run all the spy agencies in the world is it's an amazing thing. And to look to Judi Dench as your queen, that's a good thing. So that's one of the things I did. And the other thing is that I think St. George inhabits authority by seeing how much you can do with how little.
I'm intentionally trying to keep Alexander down. Like, what's the vibe between those two guys as coworkers?
I ran into Melissa the other night with some of her friends, and they'd just seen the first episode. And I was like, "Hey, Melissa, what's up?" And her friends were like, "Oh, you play the asshole." So yeah, there's a vibe to that, but I also think that there's he really is just seeking the truth in a way that he just doesn't know.
That's
how to
what
do.
all assholes say, by the way.
Can I continue? What was it Sinclair said earlier? I'm a truth-seeking dickhead or something like that. Anyway,
Okay.
no, but it is kind of fun because there's a rivalry thing going on there, but it's also like he is someone who's seeing something that's going on. So if he was a super sweet kind of guy, it wouldn't be as interesting. It's interesting because there is a conflict there between him being someone who comes off a certain way, he's condescending, and like you know, he's really abrupt and on and on. But at the same time, he is right that there's something happening. So that makes it more interesting and more dramatic. There's more layers to that rather than just, you know, a nice guy who's trying to figure out what's happening. So I like playing that. I like playing someone who has a thing that's opposed to another thing.
Awesome.
Something that Simu and I have been talking about in interviews,
Yes.
because he drew this comparison, and at the beginning I was like, what? But then I totally see it. So Love Island is this reality show where people go on this, it's not an island. You go to this place, this house, fake house, a soundstage, I
In
guess.
Fiji. No, it's in Fiji.
It's in Fiji?
I'm a believer. It's
I don't
in Fiji and
okay. I don't watch it. I'm
and
more
it's
of a
real,
Love is
and
Blind
love is
girl.
real.
Okay.
And
Anyway, so the show at the beginning potentially had people that were actually there because they wanted to find love, because they wanted to find a partner. Now, the show is so famous that what are the chances that the people are there with good intentions, and what are the chances that they're there because they want 15 minutes of fame and to sell a protein shake to support their life? You know, so that's the vibe of this relationship between Michelle and Alexander. It's like, what's true, what's performance?
yeah, we're playing the show in front. We're kind of playing these parts in front of the camera, but then you know it's like just like on Love Island. If you watch Love Island, there's always a sense of like, but what are they going to be like in the real world?
Yeah.
Like, what about when the cameras turn off? There is that kind of dimensionality that I think the viewers are very privy to, and so they, you know, are actively, if you're as online as I am, then you watch Love Island and you comment on Love Island, or you read comments on Love Island, and really this whole thing is just a big Love Island commercial. But no, it's that added dimension of like, oh, interesting. But I wonder how much they're playing it up for each other, right?
And do they even know?
And do they even know?
Do they even know how much, you know, when the lines get blurred, like, do they know if the twinkle in
How
the
much
eye
it is
is
real.
real, how much of
Yeah.
it is not, how much of it is acting?
Yeah.
It
But
gets
is there
even,
something that,
yeah,
you
it
know-
gets even confusing between them, it feels like.
Yeah.
But
Confusing and a little
yeah.
sexy.
Well, continuing on that thread, guys.